Hi everyone, I am Devlina, your host, welcoming you all once again to another exciting episode of Icons Behind Brands, a brand new episode with a brand new guest, Mr. Abhishek Gupta, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Edelweiss Tokio Life Insurance. Mr. Gupta has more than 20 years of expertise in BFSI and retailing sectors, and he was recognized as one of India's top 25 most outstanding marketing professionals by the World Brand Congress and CMO Council of Asia. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Abhishek.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dalina. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Mr. Abhishek, I have a lot to talk because I have gone through with your profile, and you have a huge experience in retailing and insurance segment, which is one of the segment which I always wanted to talk about. Before we get into that, first I would love to know about your journey and your background so far. How has it been so far?
Okay. So Devlina, actually, basically by education, I'm a mechanical engineer. And when I started my mechanical engineering, I was really interested in automobiles, and that's why I decided to do a specialization in automobile engineering also. And I was in full mind to probably work in a manufacturing company or an engineering company so that I can utilize what I had learned. But frankly, after engineering, I joined a job, and I was 2 months on the shop floor managing the production. And 2 months, I realized probably this is not what I wanted to do. And at that point of time, I decided to augment my qualification, and I decided to pursue a management course with specialization in marketing. So when that was the trigger of working floor of not pursuing further in terms of a mechanical engineer. But what happened was, since I was a member of the placement committee of our college, there was a company called Shopper Stop that had come to our campus. Shopper Stop at that point of time was the only retailing company in the country, lifestyle retailing, and I'm talking about late 90s. And at that point of time, since I was doing all the arrangements, I said, let me sit through their pre-placement talk and just figure out what the company is all about. When I really sat through the pre-placement talk of the organization, I really fell in love with that organization. And I said, I have to at least sit through the entire selection process. So that is how I sat through a Shopper Stop interview selection process. Fortunately, I think they decided to take only one person in marketing from our entire batch of 200 students. And that happened. And that's how my journey towards retailing started. I actually believe that my decision at that point of time was the right decision. Number one is because of a great company that I started my career with. I'm absolutely still in love with that organization. And I believe that organization has instilled what we call as a value growth or value-driven behavior. Because Shopper Stop focuses on values, on the values that you pass on then to in values that convert into service that is then passed on to customers. So that is how my journey started. So I started with Shopper Stop. I spent some time with Shopper Stop. Then I moved on to ICICI Bank. And when I was in ICICI Bank, by that time I was handling marketing in Shopper Stop. So I thought I will handle marketing in ICICI Bank.
Super. I think taking initiative as a student, being a placement coordinator, that helped you. Mr. Abhishek, tell us more about Edelweiss Tokio Life Insurance, and more than that, I would love to know about a mindset of marketing in insurance sector. How does it work, and who are your target audience here?
So Edelweiss Tokio Life Insurance is the youngest life insurance company in the country. Although while we say we are the youngest, we are already 11 years in the business now. We are a company which is a partnership between Edelweiss Financial Services and Tokio Marine of Japan. Tokio Marine is one of the world's largest insurers. And actually, when we started the business, there are 24 life insurance companies in the country. So it's an extremely crowded place. Our insurance penetration, while yes, it is gradually increasing year on year, the problem that we have is of underinsurance. While people end up taking a protection for themselves, but whatever they take at that point of time, it's not adequate enough, and they do not upgrade the insurance as they move along the life, because as you move along the life, your income grows, and as your income keeps on growing, your insurance cover should grow proportionately. But most of the people, including many of our colleagues who also work in the life insurance, do not end up doing that. So it's the under insurance actually which actually creates a huge market for life insurance in the country. Now about insurance, I see there are three factors about life insurance if I look from a consumer side. So there is an inner sense of mistrust. So at one end there's a complexity of the product, at second end is the mistrust, and the third, which is the consumer behavior side, is we think that we are indestructible. We think that nothing will happen to us as a customer. So when we talk about target customer, it is also I think important to understand that we are a challenger brand, and common sense says that either I create a market or I take a market share from the existing market which is already there. So as a company, our strategy that we will focus on markets where there is already an insurance penetration, and we have a certain percentage of insurance penetration that we have in mind. So that is one part. Second part is, who are our buyers? When we look at a typical age group of an insurance buyers, typically life insurance buyers are normally more than 25 years of age. So we have decided to focus on age group of 25 to 44 years of age. Okay, that is the one set. Second set is we are going into the market where insurance penetration is higher. And third level of filter that we actually use is the affluence levels. Because when we are operating in an industry which is affluence level of the consumers, affluence levels. So we have a filter of affluence level, and the reason we have a filter of the affluence level is because the person who is associated with me, my distributor, that person also has to make money. So therefore, if I ask you who's my target customer is typically at 25 to 45 years of age, slightly affluent in terms of NCCS is NCCS A and B, staying in cities which have population more than 5 lakhs. Okay, and primarily male, but we also target females because females are a huge influencers. So while our target segment is primarily males, we normally talk to females only in terms of our tonality, in terms of they are, number one is a huge influencers, and number two, they are increasingly becoming decision makers as well. So they play both the roles. They're sometimes sole decision makers, and when they are not the decision makers, they are definitely the influencers. There's hardly a scenario where the male itself is an influencer as well as a decision maker.
Right. So I would love to know about this. I mean, as this is a new perspective for me also, that women's are the influencers in this particular segment. And I always had a curiosity to understand behind the scenes about insurance marketing. Because as a consumer, I know the challenges, how it is perceived and all. So now I would like to know about how do you approach to your target audience? What is the approach towards them, and what are the channels you are using to reach them?
First, let's talk about consumers. So what do we try to do is, we have identified broad pillars onto which our brand will rest on. The first pillar that we have focused on, and I believe we were the first one to do it, when we looked at the entire industry, the narrative of the industry was extremely negative. Because if it is insurance, you have to talk about death. Because insurance is protection against a risk, protection against an happening of an event, right? And most of the time it is death. So the entire industry was talking about death. कि आप नहीं रहेंगे तो आपके बाद आपकी family का क्या होगा?
In fact, the ad commercial is a little sad.
Yeah. So we decided to stay away from that narrative. What we said was, while yes, what we offer is a hedging of the risk for you, and that risk many times is the risk of death. but doesn't mean that the conversation needs to be about death. I can still talk about insurance and not talk about death. So that's the first thing we decided as a brand, that we will never talk about negative things. Second thing that we took upon it is that, as I was telling to you a little while back, we decided to focus on women. And why women? Because in their role as buyers as well as influencers, plus nobody was talking to them. In fact, in 2012, when we released our first advertisement, we were the first one to show a woman advisor selling insurance to consumers. And after that, we have been building on. So 2-3 things that we do. Number one is, in almost 90% of our communication, the protagonist is a woman. It is never the male of the house. The second is, whenever you do a communication, it's a storytelling, right? There is that things are going like this. Now there is a problem, and then there is a solution. That's the premise, basic premise of any storytelling, right? And normally the solution is given by someone. So at any point of time, we are showing anybody giving a solution, that solution provider is always a female. So the third pillar that we have identified our brand is festivals. So we create stories around festivals, obviously link it back to not life insurance, but what do we stand for? And that where our brand comes in, which we style is Zindagi Unlimited. Now there is no reasoning behind why men perform, but it has been traditionally being done like that. In fact, women were being told that no, you cannot perform that. So, but what happened was, in 1 year, there were 3 women who decided to break this stereotype, and they performed this dance. Okay, the tiger dance. We decided to bring their story to life because there were limits that the society had imposed that women can't do this dance. But there were 3 women who came out. We took their permission and converted that into a beautiful Malayalam film, and then we released, and that is what we always tell to our customers, that limits are all in mind. All in mind. And therefore, I was talking about festivals, I was talking about women, I was talking about Zindagi Unlimited. All of these 3 came together in communication like this. Because of these initiatives, the likability, the empathy for the brand has started growing in both of our target customers, which is the end consumers as well as distributors. In fact, our women distributors love our brand because they tell us that you are the only one who talks about us. So that's how we reach out to customers. That's the pillar through which we reach out to customers.
Yeah. So I'm just shifting into, while you were talking about the limits and the communication which goes from Edelweiss is Zindagi Unlimited. So I remember a campaign which has happened in 2017 and 18, and I think that was one of the hard-hitting campaign. So we remember that Be Unlimited that was starred by a legend actor, late Mr. Irfan Khan, right? So I really, it was hard hitting. So it would be great if you just talk about that. I would love to know about that. And after that, the 360-degree full-fledged marketing campaign which followed by that particular campaign.
Yeah, actually that campaign is a great example of 2-3 things. The first thing that is number one is going back to data, and I'll explain what I mean. How going through data really helps. That is, campaign is a good example. Second good example, it is also a good example of, while you have the data, you still need a lot of consumer research, or keeping consumer at the center, how it is that important. So that campaign is a great example of that. And third is, it is also a great example of a great storytelling. It's a great storytelling. So, and probably fourth I will mention is how marketing as a function sometimes needs to probably co-own the entire mandate from business and run it as a business rather than run it as a campaign. And when we went to data and checked, most of our customers who were taking home loans from us were self-employed people. Self-employed people, more than 80% of our portfolio was self-employed customers. They were not salaried customers, they were self-employed customers. So we said, okay, let's speak to self-employed people. And when I've identified my target segment as self-employed, do I talk to them about home loans where I'm not very competitive, or we went back to business with recommendation is let's speak to them for SME loans, because while they need home loans also, they need SME loans as well. So at that time we agreed upon, and that's what the data I was talking about. We said we'll talk to this feeling, and there was born the great campaign. I'm extremely proud of that campaign, and we released this campaign by getting Mr. Irfan Khan, late Mr. Irfan Khan, a fantastic human being, and such an effortless actor. I will actually tell you one incident, and it is not an incident as such, but it is my feeling at that point of time. When the shoot was going on, okay, so Mr. Irfan Khan came, sat and started delivering the dialogues. And when I was sitting behind along with the director and looking at him performing, I was thinking कि क्या है, मतलब why are we paying so much for this person? ये तो कुछ कर ही नहीं रहा है, ना एक्टिंग कर रहा है, ना कुछ ये कर रहा है. Because मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे कॉमन नॉर्मल कॉन्वर्सेशन हो रहा है, मतलब why are we paying so much? But then it hit me. That's what his expertise is. He makes it look so effortless. At never one point of time I saw there's a difference between while he's behind the camera or while he's in front of the camera. He made it so effortless. It's like normal conversation that he was having with people. But when you see the result on the camera, on the screen, after the shoot is done, he elevated the script so high. No other person would have done that justice. And such a successful campaign. So I think I consider myself extremely fortunate that me and my team got to work on this campaign. We got to work with a great actor like this. We worked with a great director like this, Mr. Ram Madhwani, and we were able to create something that we really will cherish and be proud of all our lives.
Superb. So with this, I'm moving to a rapid fire round now, which is pretty interesting and which will allow viewers and listeners to know you a little bit more. Okay, so the rules are simple. It's one word answer or as minimum as possible. One sentence is fine. Okay, so
Okay. And this comes as a nice surprise. It's a Deolina twist to the.
This is a surprise, yes. So, what has been your favorite age so far? Age?
It was 2002, 2003. Because, and I'll tell you why. Because that was the time my son was born. So that has been my favorite.
Super. What is your favorite work memory?
Actually, it's the small things. It is always never the promotion or anything. I realize that these are not your memories.
Mm-hmm.
When you get elevated in your role, it is the small things. And if you have time, I have a 2-minute story around it. But somehow that is etched on one of my favorite memories of.
So the next question is here. What has changed the most since you have started working in this company, Edelweiss Tokyo?
I have come to appreciate the power of storytelling. And I'm talking from a marketing perspective.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I believe storytelling is such a powerful tool, but unfortunately we don't use it enough.
Okay, right. So what advice would you give to an employee on their first day?
Never underestimate the power of keeping consumer at the center. Never.
Super. It's a great piece of advice for anyone. So if you could not work in this industry, what profession would you pursue?
If I am not working in financial industry, I'll be working in retailing.
Okay.
I love retail.
Super. When are you most productive?
I think I'm most productive in post-lunch evening hours.
Okay. What would you change about yourself?
I believe, and it's a weakness of procrastination. So that I would like to definitely work on. I've been trying to work on it, probably with some success and some limited success. But if I have one thing that I would like to change is this.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
You can define who your customer is.
Right.
But once you've defined, be very close to them.
Wow.
Be very close.
Nice. That's a great one, actually. That's a great one.
Thank you so much, Delina. And I must actually compliment you for the kind of work that you have been doing. Because I have seen both of your series, Icons Behind Brands and Icon Behind Campaigns as well.
Okay, okay.
I believe every campaign has a story behind it. But unfortunately, that story never comes out. Never comes out. Thank you so much for taking this initiative. I think from the fraternity of marketeers side, I'm going to thank you.